Hi, this is video number 151. As usual, it's a cloudy day here today and it's raining. It's been cloudy a lot this winter. Yesterday on the weather, they said we've had 45 straight days of days that are not mostly sunny days. Like, it's been very cloudy, rainy winter so far. And I've been noticing in the last few weeks it's not arthritis, it's a lot of body pain that I've had like over this winter so far, and I think it has to do with the barometric pressure of the weather. Actually, I remember when I was young, people would talk about, well, the weather is like it's causing my arthritis to be worse or something. I'm having more pain. I thought they were kind of like nuts, but now that I am one of them, it's true. It really is true. So I'm hoping. We did have a sunny day yesterday, but then today it's raining again. So it's supposed to get up into the low 60s today. That's nice. So it's been a pretty mild winter, just cloudy. Let's see, last night I sat down with my wife, and we've had this DVD for a while, Ben-Hur, and it's like almost a 4-hour movie. And so we decided, well, let's watch this. And so we decided we would watch the first half. The first disc is in 2 discs. So we're sitting there watching it, and it was interesting and so forth. I had never seen it before. It was, I've heard about it a lot, but I'd never actually watched it. So this morning I got up, and I'm sitting here drinking my coffee, sipping on it, and thinking about, I was thinking about the movie, and then about, like, in the movie there's like I think there are certain miracles. Most of you aren't familiar with the movie, but in it, Ben-Hur, Judah Ben-Hur, who is like played by Charlton Heston, which kind of freaked me out at first because I've watched the Ten Commandments lots of times, and he was also Moses, and this is a very Moses-like character in Ben-Hur. But there's a part in the movie where he spends like 5 years in the galleys for some crime that for something he didn't even do. But and they say like to make it through 1 year in the galleys is like a miracle, and he made like 5 years or something. So I was thinking like that's a miracle. But then I also thought, like, when he supposedly did this crime, like his sister and mother were involved too, and they ended up in like the prison and in a dungeon for 5 years. Like, when he got out of the galley by some miraculous thing, he went back to look for his mother and sister, and by a miracle he did find them. They were in the dungeon, and they got out. Now, in the story, there's a part where when he's being marched off to where he's going to be in the galleys, they're marching and they're not getting any water and stuff, and the soldiers won't let them have water. So they stop at this one place, and some of the prisoners are getting water from the good people there. But there's a scene where someone comes up, like you can see the shadow, and you can see the back parts of this person, and gives him lots and lots of water. And it's the Creator. It's like, we call the Creator the Messiah, the Christ. And to me, that's miraculous. Like this, he got this water when the soldiers wouldn't let him have it. So anyway, I'm thinking that okay, the mother and the sister, like 5 years later, they're in the dungeon, and no one ever sees them in the dungeon because they just don't go in. The soldiers don't go in, but they know they're alive because they eat the food that is put out, outside the door there. And so when they go in to see if these 2 people are still in there, they discover both that the mother and the daughter have leprosy. So they freak out, and then they send them out, and through some means, in some way, the daughter and sister go back like to the house where they live, just to let someone there know that they are still alive. But they're lepers, so they're going to go to what was called the Valley of the Lepers. So I'm thinking of like all of this miraculous stuff, and I'm thinking somewhere in the story itself, we're going to watch a second part tonight probably, that the Creator will somehow touch them. I've never seen the movie, so I don't know. Will somehow enter the story again, and that'll be another miracle that's in the story. But anyway, to connect this to this morning, I was thinking about my life and everything I've been through, and especially first I think about like the alcoholism. I drank for over 40 years, and it was not pretty. It was getting pretty ugly. And I think how miraculous it is. I drank all those years. I remember when I was working, being afraid that like when I retire, am I just going to sit at home and drink and die, like just kill myself? So for me to not be drinking is enormously miraculous. It's I tried so hard for so long not to drink, and I don't drink anymore. I have no desire to drink. And to me, that's just an absolute miracle. The last 13 years I drank. I took Klonopin, and I thought there is absolutely no way I will ever get off of this stuff. And as you know, through my timeline, as I quit drinking, I realized I got to get off the Klonopin too if I ever want to be well. And I did it. It happened. It was a miracle. It was an absolute miracle. So what you people are doing is like, to me, it's miraculous. This is a miracle kind of thing here. This is a miracle deal. And then I think too, I got out of withdrawal. The whole experience took around 3 years, just a little bit less. And what really is amazing, it's another miracle. My brain works. It works. It works, I think, better than it ever did. I was always a high functioning alcoholic. Even on those 13 years I took Klonopin, I was high functioning. I could think really well, but I think my brain actually works better now. I'm not afraid of anything. I have no anxiety, no depression. So I'm thinking like, that's what Ben-Hur made me think of this morning, like the miracles in that, but then the miracle of my life. Like I've been through a lot of stuff, and my brain works. It works. I'm well. I feel good. And that's what's in store for everyone. Like I tend to take it for granted sometimes that, yeah, I got through that big deal. Well, it was an enormous deal. And what you people are going through is enormous. It's enormous. You can call it an accomplishment, goal setting, reaching goals, but it's more. It's miraculous. It really is miraculous. And you're all going to do it. It just takes some time. And, I did it. Lots of people have done it. You're going to do it too. Okay, so that was a long story for such a short thing. I am looking forward to seeing like the whole leprosy thing and how that's handled, because I just get this feeling that, the Creator's going to come and touch them and they're going to be whole and go back to their family. But I could be wrong. I could be. Okay, one of the football game, the Super Bowl, Sam asked me if I did see The Amazing Game, okay? And I did see The Amazing Game, most of it. I was pretty happy until right after it was 28-3, and then New England started scoring all those points, and Atlanta fell apart. And I knew after New England scored the first touchdown, and made the 2-point conversion, I thought they're going to win. And they still had a lot of points to go, and I just could see they're going to win. And they got to the end, it was 28-28 overtime, and I knew like they're going to win. So I didn't even watch the overtime. I went out for a walk. I hate to admit this, but it disturbed me. I don't typically get upset with football games and stuff, but New England wins all the time, So I took a walk, came back like half hour later. I look at the TV and I see all the New England players kissing the trophy. I thought, they won. It was no big surprise to me. But all that being said, Patriots are awesome. They are absolutely awesome. Brady's awesome. I got to give them credit for that. Amazing. It's just as amazing how they just win and win and win. And my hat's off to them. But I was sure hoping the Falcons could pull it off. It looked like they were going to, but didn't happen. Something else. Someone who emails me now and then, either she has a website or she's starting a website. It has a fundraiser part to it too. And I think it has to do with either benzo withdrawal or withdrawal from psychotropic drugs. What she's looking for are stories for the site, like stories of your experiences, people who are going through this. I'm not sure how detailed she wants these stories or what kind of format or anything. I sent her an email and asked her that, but anybody who would be willing to give her your story in writing, you could probably send it to me, and then, I'm waiting to hear back from her though, but she's still not well. She had she was sick for a while. I think she had like pneumonia or something, and so that revved up her symptoms. She's still in withdrawal, but she's getting there. She's very talented. She sings. So she's wanting to do this sort of fundraiser, I think, for this particular cause, recognition of or awareness of benzo withdrawal and maybe withdrawal from all psych drugs. I don't know. So I thought I would throw that in here too. So if you have any, if you want to provide a story, just let me know. You can send it to me, and I'll talk more as I get some information from her. I'll mention it more. Okay, a few emails here. I am just over 8 months off, and I just had my worst pain weekend yet. The muscle pain and stiffness in my head, neck, and shoulders was a level 10, non-stop all weekend. My jaw was stiff and sore. My head pressure was incredible. Face frozen and numb. Tinnitus and left ear raging. Yeah, I have that too. Body felt like I was 100 years old. I have that too. Vision in left eye was blurry. Hands and feet hurt. Mood was down. Irritable, afraid, and so on. I was and still am completely overcome by pain and mentally devastated. As you know, when my pain climbs from 8 to 9 or 10, doubt overtakes all my rational belief that this is hell, that this hell is withdrawal. When I am suffering like I did this weekend, my wife gets scared and wants to take me for more tests, to the ER to get me on morphine, to the Mayo Clinic to find out what's wrong. Her doubt only adds to my deep fear, dark fears making full acceptance even more impossible. That and I just saw a CBT therapist this morning that asked me if I'd been tested for fibromyalgia, as she has never seen a withdrawal like mine. She claimed that 250 days is a long time to still be in withdrawal. It was obvious that she thinks something else is wrong. I am rattled to my core again, but mostly because I am in such dire straits physically. This pain is beyond belief. It is not a pain that anyone can live with for an extended period of time. It is keeping me from getting anything out of my meditation, CBT, or repeating my mantra over and over. To make it through these days, I absolutely have to figure out a way to lessen the pain. But nothing I'm doing is helping, nor can I find anyone with benzo expertise that has any new ways of combating the pain. Do you know of an expert that can both confirm what I am going through and provide tools to get through these long, brutal days? I've been doing my best to power through, but it's becoming harder and harder. I'm constantly in a 9 out of 10 pain, and it feels like it's only getting worse. I get no windows, no relief ever. I don't know what to do. Okay, and then he gives me his last week. He keeps a journal of his pain. As always, thank you. Okay. Okay, let me see. Let me go back here. Yeah, all these different, like the physical stuff. Very, very hard. I know people who have had the intense physical stuff over day to day for a number of months, and it's hard. That makes it extra hard. I know. And then there's the mental, emotional too, and then the pain actually plays on that. A few things I want to talk about here. Let me see if I can find what they are. Okay, the going to the therapist. Okay, I went to the therapist for like a year or so, and although she acknowledged there is benzo withdrawal and it can take a long time, she thought there was something else wrong. She absolutely did. She thought I was mentally ill, first of all, and that I was a drug addict and whatever, and that there was something from my past probably that was causing me to be in such dire straits. Well, she was wrong, obviously. Okay, they're supposed to be the experts. They're supposed to know. They don't know. If they have not been in withdrawal, they don't know. They can't possibly know. I've talked about that many times. You can read about that many times. If you have not gone through this, it's just an absolute pure nightmare. No one can imagine what this is like. You cannot. Even right now, I went through it. I cannot imagine to the degree that I can feel it again. I remember what it was like. I know I went through it. I know it was absolute hell on earth. So you're not going to get any relief unless you find a therapist who has been through withdrawal. That's just the way of it. Okay, the fibromyalgia thing. I don't think there is a test for that because as I spoke on the last video, I think, fibromyalgia is a syndrome. It's a collection of symptoms, having to do with nerve pain, muscle pain, and so forth. So that's not, I mean, you have the symptoms of fibromyalgia. That's part and parcel of benzo withdrawal. That's just the way it is. And it's really hard for some people. They get it really, really bad. She thinks something else is wrong. It's not, to her it's obvious, to you it's I mean, that's what this is. This is benzo withdrawal, and it can be this bad, yes. And I know what it's like to second guess, to think like, is this just withdrawal? There must be something else. Well, I mean, you've had all the tests, and that there's, it's just waited out. I know, like, not knowing what to do. That's how I was. That's how almost everybody is. You survive. It's a game of survival. Anything you can do to get through each day is what you have to do. Lessening the pain, I don't know. It's just, you kind of wait it out. But I know lots of people who have had the horrible physical pain. Let me see, what else? Okay, you talk about, and I don't know, I wasn't planning on saying anything about this, but the stellate ganglion block thing. Like, if you have, I mean, honestly, if you have connections with someone, like in the medical field, that you could talk them into trying that, because the procedure itself is pretty benign. I think they shoot lidocaine in that disc in your vertebrae, and I don't know. It's for PTSD, and it's for pain too. Like, but that could help somehow. I don't know. I honestly don't know. There hasn't been enough written yet, enough research to, and I can't get anybody to get back to me on, like, I'm curious, I have ideas, I have questions, and nobody has gotten back to me yet. So it's just hard. This is hard, and you just powering through, just getting through, just surviving. You don't have to be powerful. You just have to do it. Sometimes you got to be on your hands and knees to get through. I know. So. Okay, the next email. Let me see what time I have here. 17.5. Thanks for the last video. I love your site and whatever you have to share about yourself and others who have gone through this horrible experience. One idea that I thought of is, if people want to just share their story, either to be read or on a video, just talking about what led them to this place. I know some do that already, but many times it is questions that people have for you. I love the questions also. They are fine too. It's just nice to hear that I am not alone. Okay, she's speaking here of, I had asked for suggestions in one of my last videos about other things you might like to see or hear. And she's saying, like, if you would send me your stories written out, and I would read them for you. They don't have to be success stories, just how all of this happened to you and what you're going through and where you are in the whole process. That, and I think that does help a lot of times to, it gives validation to us. It lets us know, yes, there are other people going through this too. Now, I know on other forums and Facebook groups and stuff, you start freaking out over someone's story. So if you provide me your story, if it's going to freak people out, and I do this too, like with a lot of the emails, like people freak out over the actual experience of someone writing to me, and I can talk about that a bit. So to keep people from getting too upset and so forth. So if you have if you want to share your story, like in a little more detail, like how you got on the drugs and what your experience has been on them and your withdrawal and so forth, where you are in the whole timeline, the process, that would be great. Okay, she goes on here. I actually have one for you. I know you may have addressed this already. I am coming on my 2-year anniversary of being benzo free. Still having some pretty bad days. Keep thinking it's something else. What that might be, nobody knows. Lately, my waves go minute to minute almost, like I'm doing horrible for a half hour, feeling like I can't stand, dizziness and shortness of breath. Next minute, happy as a clam. I just don't get it. Also having a lot of visual disturbances, like my eyes move too fast for my brain to keep up. Ever heard of this? Just need to know that we all really do heal. 2 years and haven't yet. Really discouraging. Okay. Okay. The waves. Like waves and windows back and forth. I've seen it all kinds of ways. Like several waves and windows in the same day. That's not unusual. It's not. It happens. I would be glad for the little windows at least. Like the dizziness and not being able to stand, shortness of breath. That's pretty common too. Yeah, it's crazy. This whole thing is just crazy. So that's like a window wave thing. It's not a typical way, but I have seen that in quite a few people actually. The visual disturbance is very common. For some time I had if I would look somewhere fast over here, it was like things had to kind of like catch up to where my eyes were going. I had a lot of that early on. I had a lot of floaters. A lot of people have all kinds of things. Things moving. Like the guy who was here from New York for 1.5 years, he would often talk about, like if he would look at the walls or something, he could see lines moving around. When he would look at carpet or anything with like a coarse texture, it appeared as though things were moving, like there were waves and stuff in the carpet. That's really common. Visual stuff is very, very common. The eyes do actually have, I think the retina has GABA B receptors, so they're probably affected too in all of this. But the primary receptor in the body is the GABA A neuroreceptor. And we really do heal. We honestly do. I promise you, you will heal. It's just, it does take time and it is very discouraging, I know. Okay, one last email here. Hi, Dawn. In response to your last video, here's some questions. I read a success story where someone had 2 setbacks due to stress. What does that mean? I have these episodes many times a day where I'm crying. That is stressful. Feels like a catch-22. I'm concerned those episodes will be setting me back. Obviously, nothing I can do about it. Also, I know you didn't have windows and waves, but did you have major changes to types of symptoms as the months went by? Okay, the first one. Okay, 2 setbacks from stress. Okay, stress, I think, is like the PTSD thing and the stellate ganglion block thing. I think when we have trauma in our brain, and stress can produce trauma, it makes things harder, especially when we're already in withdrawal. I don't know that it sets us back. I doubt that it does, but it makes things a whole lot worse, a whole lot more uncomfortable, makes symptoms, typically it will intensify them. So a setback, to me, a setback is where, there really is no definition for a setback. To me, it's like an intensification of symptoms. It's not necessarily you have harmed yourself and have to go back to like a month or 2 in healing. I don't think that's what it is at all. I think it just causes intensification of symptoms. Okay, and it reminds me of when I would go to my therapist. This was the most stressful part of my withdrawal, probably. I would go see my therapist, and she scared the bejeebers out of me, telling me I'm mentally ill, I have something else, I'm a hopeless drug addict and alcoholic. And I would leave there. I would have that nasty, horrible feeling in my guts, that just tightness and burning. I would leave there in a panic and just have anxiety for the rest of the day. And that was stress. That was, here's someone who's supposed to know what's wrong with me and have a good idea of like how to help me through it. And they're telling me, I'm pretty much hopeless. She would shake her head and just, it made me feel horrible. She was a nice lady, but honestly, she didn't, just the stress that she created in me was, I don't think it set me back, but I can remember thinking on the way home, I'd be driving, like, have this horrible feeling in my guts. This has to be bad for me. This is going to keep me from ever getting better. This has to be harming me. That's what you're talking about here, I think. No, it didn't. It was just like, it's kind of like she made a wave happen in me. And it went away. It all went away. But I know when you're going through it, it's like, it feels so bad. It's like, this has to be harming me. That's how we feel, but it doesn't. Um, okay, major kinds of symptoms that changed over the months. Mine stayed, I had things that would come and go, mostly different physical kinds of things, vibrations, like kind of like tremors and shaking. The burning would come and go. The one thing that came and go a lot, at the beginning I had heart palpitations for many months. And then at some point they actually left for a while, and then they would come back. They would leave for like a month or two, and then they would come back for a week or two, and then they would leave. And that happened over and over and over, the palpitations, which didn't bother me too much, because at the beginning of my withdrawal, I had them constantly. And they kind of freaked me out at the beginning, because I thought, my heart, there's something wrong with my heart, I'm going to die. But I didn't die. After a while, I kind of took the attitude, if I die, I die. I mean, at least I won't have the palpitations and all this fear anymore. But after a while, it's just like, okay, yeah, it's back. They're back. And then they would leave again. And finally, they did actually leave. So that's pretty common. So those were changes. I don't know that I got any new. I think there were some new minor symptoms over the months that would come and go. But mostly it was like things that would leave and then they would return months later for a while. And the biggie was heart palpitations. Yeah. Okay, let me see. Okay, I'm at 26 and a half. So I'll let you go here. It's still morning here. I want to go out to the church. I got a form from the church. I was nominated to be on the board still, and I actually declined. I actually put an X in the decline box, so I probably should go out and talk to the pastor a little bit and explain to him. First of all, I think there should be a few other people on the board, new people. I'm going to be there anyway as the treasurer, just not an official member. But also importantly, I would want to be able to have the freedom to do some traveling in the next year, and maybe come visit some of you people, talk to you, and see what's going on. And I don't get to see any of you hardly. I see some of you now and then. I have had people come here. I've gone and visited people, but I think it would be awesome to go see you. And one thought I had was maybe do, if I come see you, and maybe we'll do a little kind of video thing together, not necessarily an interview, but just kind of sit there and talk, and maybe that would be helpful to everybody. I don't know. It's something different, something I've never done. So anyway, I'm at almost 28 minutes. This is a pretty long one. Hang in there. I hope there's sun where you are, because there's no sun it's up above the clouds, I guess. It's pretty nice and sunny up there, but it's supposed to quit raining here sometime today, and hopefully it's very warm outside. I know that, but hopefully it'll clear up here and we'll get another day of sun, like the second one in 47 days or whatever. Looking forward to the spring, get some sunlight here, because this has been something. I'm not depressed, but gee, let's have a little brightness. It's cloudy here all the time. This is like being out in the Northwest over the winter time, the fall and the winter. When I was in the Air Force, I went out there. I got there on the first the first rainy day of the season, and it rained for 60-some days in a row. What a drag that was. So anyway, I'm hoping for spring and some sun and get some good stuff here. So till next time, hang in there. You can do this. You're going to do it. You will do it. I promise it's doable. I mean, I talked about everything. I'm like the alcoholism, the drugs. My brain works better than it ever has. I'm happier than I've ever been. So there's lots of good stuff ahead. If you got to get through a minute at a time, then that's what you do. And you've made it this far, you'll get the rest of the way, I promise. Till next time, I'm right here. I will be right here. Bye-bye.